Rory McIlroy just won the 2025 Masters, completing one of the greatest stories in golf history, while one of the most popular men in golf, Justin Thomas, just completed a win for the first time in years, potentially prepping golf fans for what could be the most exciting season of golf in a decade. So, is golf good again? And the reason I ask is because golf has kind of been carried on the back of one man you might know, Tiger Woods, for a very long time. For most of his career, Tiger carried the weight of the sport on his back, bringing crowds to random patches of grass all across the world to see whatever incredible shot he would hit next. He achieved unbelievable things, won basically everything, and impressed people and drove them to golf ranges all across the world by doing it. But as with every great idol of any sport, you could say Michael Jordan, Roger Federer, Tiger Woods, Michael Phelps, all of these guys, their errors wouldn't last forever, and Tiger's definitely did not. While I was researching this video, I came across an article from Bleacher Report that talked a little bit about golf at the end of the 2010s. And I'll have it linked down below, but the author, Michael Fitzpatrick, was talking a little bit about how golf at that time felt like it did in the late 1980s and early 1990s, where there were a lot of great golfers. There were a ton of guys like Greg Norman, Tom Kite, Seve even, that were interesting and that were popular, but there wasn't one guy that changed the game of golf forever or drove fans like no one ever, like there has been in golf history, like Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus even, you could say Bobby Jones, guys that were really at the top of the game, that were the most popular in the game, all the way back to Harry Vardon. They were what everyone wanted to see. But golf in the 1980s and the 90s and now in the late 2010s didn't really have that. Now, yes, that would change at the end of 2018 when Tiger won the Tour Championship, but then again in the 2019 Masters. But since then, we've basically been without that this entire time. No stars, or basically no stars that we care about so much more than everybody else. Guys like Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Justin Rose, John Rahm, all of these guys played great golf, but didn't strike anybody's fancies for one reason or another. Some weren't that exciting, or didn't have the greatest personalities, or just weren't that popular for some reason. There have been a ton of names at the top, but none of those guys were wildly exciting or created this fiery environment around the world of golf that was, until the world of golf tried to create it for itself through the PGA Tour and Live Golf separation.
The Live Golf Tour. Live Golf.
Live Golf.
Live Golfers. Live Golf is the game in full throttle.
Initially, I think there were a lot of really exciting and potential benefits of this merger, and though that deserves a video in and of itself, I think that initial tension has settled a bit. And now, most golf fans are left with just two leagues of golf to watch, neither which have all of the best players, and as well as the TGL, none of which are really wildly compelling week in and week out, which is what I think we want. And not even one of the greatest runs of golfing form ever in Scotty Scheffler last year could change that. Early 2024 Scotty Scheffler was ridiculous. He won everything, basically destroying the field every chance he got. But that doesn't necessarily lead to the most exciting golf every time. And I think the best comparison of this is Tiger Woods, where in 2000, Tiger beat everybody. He won the Tiger Slam that year, was phenomenal. However, people really were thrilled by the game of golf that Tiger brought to the world. Scotty, though people were excited about the golf game that he played and wanted to see how impressive his shots were, as it's probably arguably the second best, if not even better than Tiger's year was. We're not having that conversation now. But people were not nearly as excited about it because Scotty himself is not nearly as exciting of a character as Tiger was, and that's okay because no one probably will ever be as exciting as Tiger is. However, I think the 2024 season gave us a little bit of a taste of what could be, because guys like Bryson and Rory were competing at the same time. Bryson by himself has done incredible things for the golf game, making it so much more popular and creating this personality of a golfer that hasn't really been seen ever because of the ability to get access to your viewers, to your fans on social media and through Bryson's YouTube channel. And so with that, Bryson has made the game a lot more popular, has become this figure that's thrilling to watch. And so when he went and won the US Open while competing and battling with Rory, well, it created this little instance of a story that could feed the rest of the year but it didn't really. And that's because Xander Schauffele ended up taking the next 2 majors. Now, we did see a good performance from Bryson, and Rory was there, but Xander is, again, in a similar vein to Scotty, just not necessarily as exciting of a figure. I would argue Xander Schauffele is incredibly funny to watch. I've seen him with Bob Dub Sports. He is a character, and you guys should absolutely try and learn more about this guy because he's awesome. However, he's not that figure that I'm talking about. He's not going to drive people to the course or to the driving range or to their TV sets or computers to watch in the way that Bryson will, in the way that Tiger would. And so the game of golf, despite having these instances of incredible play, didn't necessarily break any records. The viewing metrics were not wildly impressive. In fact, they were relatively low for all but really the US Open last year, with Rory and Bryson battling it out till Rory missed that putt on 18, basically. However, that all changed when this year kicked off. From the jump, it started slow, where we saw Scotty go out to an injury, Xander Schauffele also went out to an injury, and it wasn't wildly riveting. However, slowly as the months came on, we saw a lot of names that I like, and I think we like too, begin to show up at the top of the leaderboards that we really haven't seen for a long time. Jordan Spieth, Joel Damon, Justin Thomas, Victor Hovland was winning, and Ludwig Åberg was starting to step on it again. All of these guys have been somewhat intriguing to us, are names that we care about in ways that I think those early tournaments for a lot of years are won by guys that aren't necessarily the most exciting or even the most well-known. However, everything changed right at the end of March when Rory McIlroy won the Players. That tournament, not only did he come from behind, beat JJ Spawn in a playoff, but he played phenomenal golf, and we had seen him play some pretty decent golf leading up to it. And so that created a little bit of a story around what could be with the Masters, because most of us know that if Rory won the Masters this season or ever, he would complete the career Grand Slam, something that only very few golfers ever have completed, and he would be the first to do so since Tiger. And believe it or not, Rory McIlroy went on and did it. And I made a whole video right after the Masters with my reaction. I lost my mind, told the story a little bit, and I'll link that at the end of this video. Make sure you watch that and subscribe so you don't miss out on more. However, that fed more and more into what this year could be, because not only had Rory defeated his demons and won the career Grand Slam, but it looked like he had lifted this weight off his back so that he could play now without worry, without potentially missing those 3-foot putts like he did in Pinehurst the year prior. And now there's a lot of excitement that anything could happen for Rory's game, and he is playing potentially better golf than he has ever played in his career. And believe it or not, people care about that story of Rory. We've seen him for years fail and have himself fall apart in great opportunities just because he has been dealing with some mental demons for a very long time, but he achieved greatness in front of every golf fan. In fact, Rory's win at the Masters was the most viewed Masters tournament since the 2018 Masters, back when the game was beginning to become more of that no leader here, like that article was saying earlier. And then what happened after Rory won the Masters? Well, a little while later, Justin Thomas won for the first time in 4 years, which might be small to a lot of you, but to me, it shows that these golfers that we care about, these names that are incredibly popular for one reason or another, or at least well known, are winning. And that can help create a great story around the game of golf, and to me, bring the golf game back to a point that it hasn't felt like it had since Tiger. And though it's not a perfect year, as there is still a massive separation of the LIV players with the PGA Tour guys, and we're seeing Wesley Bryan, even one of the few lower ranked names that we really care about, now being suspended. It's not a perfect season. It's not going to be perfect for a little while, and it hasn't really ever been. But the stories are beginning to show and are really impressing me. And I'm just incredibly excited about what this year could have and could unfold. And I'm excited to tell the stories about it, and you should be excited to see. Thank you for watching. Thank you all to my Patreon supporters that help me and support me. And if you guys want to help me too, click on that link and click here to watch my wild reaction to the Masters win for Rory and the whole story behind that, and then click on here for whatever video YouTube thinks you'll be interested in. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.